welcome back to Iris After Hours. In case you haven't noticed, we are doing our Christmas episode. Ooh. It really is the best time of the year, I think.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
We love it. Yes. We love Christmas.
We are unified by our Christmas garland.
That's the Irish family here.
Which could be a new trend. Wear a garland like a scarf.
Come on.
There and we have my parents.
Come on.
Heidi and Rolland Baker with us in the flesh, which is a rare occasion. We've of course already filmed like 3 other videos today because when you get them, you just gotta make the most of it.
Yes.
And one of the things we did growing up, we still do when we have Christmas together, is a family reading of the Christmas story.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
So it's story time on Iris After Hours.
Come on,
today.
we're about to attempt it. Are you ready? Are you ready?
We're gonna give it a go.
Come on.
Go for it, Rolland.
All right.
So get a cup of hot chocolate.
I shall read from Luke chapter 2, the birth of Jesus. During those days, the Roman Emperor, Caesar Augustus, ordered that the first census be taken throughout his empire. Everyone had to travel to his or her hometown to complete the mandatory census. So Joseph and his fiancée, Mary, left Nazareth, a village in Galilee, and journeyed to their hometown in Judea, to the village of Bethlehem, King David's ancient home. They were required to register there since they were both direct descendants of David. Mary was pregnant and nearly ready to give birth.
And when they arrived in Bethlehem, Mary went into labor, and there she gave birth to her firstborn son. After wrapping the newborn baby in strips of cloth, they laid him in a feeding trough, since there was no available space in any upper room in the village. An angelic encounter. That night in a field near Bethlehem, there were shepherds watching over their flocks. Suddenly an angel of the Lord appeared in radiant splendor before them, lighting up the field with blazing glory of God, and the shepherds were terrified. But the angel reassured them, saying, "Don't be afraid, for I have come to bring you good news, the most joyous news the world has ever heard."
And it is for everyone, everywhere.
That's awesome.
For today in Bethlehem, a rescuer was born for you. He is the Lord Yahweh, the Messiah. You will recognize him by this miracle sign. You will find a baby wrapped in strips of cloth and lying in a feeding trough.
Wow.
Then all at once a vast number of glorious angels appeared, the very armies of heaven, and they all praised God, singing, "Glory to God in the highest realms of heaven, for there is peace and a good hope given to the sons of men."
Wow. When the choir of angels disappeared back to heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go. Let's hurry. Let's find this word that is born in Bethlehem and see for ourselves what the Lord has revealed to us." So they ran into the village, and they found their way eventually to Mary and Joseph. And there was the baby Jesus, lying in a feeding trough. Oh. Upon seeing this miraculous sign, the shepherds recounted what had just happened. Everyone who heard the shepherd's story was astonished by what they were told. But Mary treasured all these things in her heart and often pondered what they meant. The shepherds returned to their flocks, ecstatic over what had happened. They praised God and glorified him for all they had heard and seen for themselves, just like the angel had said. Wow.
Thank you, Jesus.
Oh
wow,
my gosh.
He left heaven. He left heaven and came down here.
He came down here in a trough.
Like lower still? Like you say, Heidi, the only direction in ministry is lower still. Did you hear it said there was no upper room? So that he was born into the low place.
That's right.
And the even lower feeding trough. Amazing.
Yeah, and that's why we go. I mean, that's why we go low and slow and just keep sharing, because he came for us first. And it's just so beautiful. I love the humble way that he came. You know, he didn't come as a king shouting, "Here I am, listen to me." But he came as a little baby. And He just stripped himself of everything and just became a human being so he could relate to us. I love that. I love the Christmas story. I love that it's real forever and ever.
I
It's good
know.
news for us all. Yeah, that's the first time I've ever read it in the Message translation. I really like it.
Oh, no, this is the, what's it called? The Passion.
Oh, the Passion. No wonder.
I'd never heard it in the Passion
I
translation
never
either.
heard it. No, it's really powerful.
Yeah. It was incredible. So what are your first memories of Christmas? Or maybe I should ask this question. When did the real Christmas story really hit you? Because there's Christmas and there's stuff we do. There's a lot of tinsel around
stuff we
Christmas.
do.
There's a lot of shopping and a
Yeah.
lot of things. But that real heart of Christmas, Heidi and Rolland, when did that first grab you and arrest you and overwhelm you?
Are you asking me first or how?
Yeah, go
Papa.
for it.
Well, you understand I'm a missionary kid.
Yes.
There you go. And
So
I'm
where were you?
not.
Born
I'm
and
the,
bred.
I'm the opposite. My family all got drunk and sloshed, and that was the end of us. Anyway, thank God for salvation because it was.
That was his name. They called him.
They called him Salvation.
Savior.
And in Africa, how many
Yeah.
kids do we meet called Salvador? And people.
That's right.
In Mozambique, there's
So-
so many people called Salvador. It's amazing.
My true Christmas experience came at a later date. So I think we'll start with Rolland.
Yeah, and then we'll get back to yours. I'm so curious to find this out. Roland, tell us, where were we? China?
Well, see, I grew up on my grandfather's lap, and all I heard about was God and Satan and power encounters and angels and demons and heaven and hell. I mean, as soon as I was conscious, as soon as I could remember anything, I heard all these stories and I believed them all.
Wow. This is
I
H.A.
cannot-
Baker. H.A., just if you don't know, H.A. Baker is Roland's grandfather, amazing author and man of God and missionary that travelled miles on foot with Hessian shoes, like to spread the gospel. Like, an incredible man. Like, this is the heritage that you guys are walking in, isn't it?
Yeah.
H.A.
50 years later, I went to his hometown in the mountains of southwest China. And the people
With
in the
Crystalyn, huh?
people in the no, that was early. That was
earlier.
12 years ago in Kunming,
Oh,
near
yeah.
Kunming, not Tibet. Anyway, I grew up with God on my mind. You know, I can't ever remember a time not believing in God or Jesus. So Santa Claus was never any competition. Sorry about that.
So the tinsel didn't matter.
Definitely not. No tinsel in Mozambique. But no, we found some.
But
Give me a little tinsel and
The Chinese store?
Little tinsel, tinsel. We
But
did. Yeah.
we moved to Hong Kong when I was 2 years old because my parents got kicked out of China.
That was the Great Purge, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That happened.
1949. Yeah.
1949. I wonder what year
Yeah.
that was.
So what was Christmas like?
We moved to Hong Kong and we lived on a little island, Chengja Island, out in the harbor of Hong Kong. And it's oriental, you know, fishing villages and there are Buddhist temples all around. But we had Christmas. You know, I don't care. It was so not Christmassy, you know. There's no snow, there's no chimneys, there's no sleighs, there's nothing Christmassy about it. We were in China, in Asia. But we were determined to celebrate Christmas, so we had trees and we had presents and we had stockings full of goodies. But my earliest memory of Christmas in Hong Kong was getting an aircraft carrier model with little airplanes that were on the deck, and you could pull them back with a spring and let them fly off the deck of this little aircraft carrier.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
And I had all these toy airplanes and everything that was when I was 3 and 4 and 5, and I just remembered that a lot.
Now you have a real airplane. You get to fly for Iris.
So that little aircraft carrier with those little planes was my first memory of Christmas. But then we moved to Taiwan. We lived in Taipei,
God.
and we are Assemblies of God missionaries. And churches back in the States used to send us barrels of Christmas presents,
Wow.
you know, for this missionary family.
Whoa.
And it was
That's
so
fun.
exciting, you know.
is
I
awesome.
mean, we had a fireplace. This is Taipei, Taiwan, and it got cold in the winter. And we had electric blankets, and we had a fireplace, and we made fudge, you know, the kind where when you're done, you scrape it out the pan, you know. And that was
Made
the
it
best
from
part.
scratch.
Of course.
Scraping out the fudge. You know, I knew how to get softball just right making fudge. You know. I became
Wow.
an expert at fudge making. get the butter all mixed in there just
You
right.
need to
Yes.
revisit this skill.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not
Everything-
something you've
It's easy to
revisited
burn it or
in
make
a
it
long
too
time.
Yeah.
coarse
No.
to keep it
But
smooth.
we had a
the skill.
fireplace with logs, and we had stockings stuck up in front of the fireplace, and there's I had 4 younger sisters. At first only 2, and then
lot.
3, and then 4, and no brothers.
Sisters,
It was
all
traumatic.
sisters.
Oh my gosh,
4
were you the
girls.
eldest?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were the eldest.
Yes,
Roland.
I'm the eldest and wisest. Best.
I'm the best. I'm the best.
But so we had these barrels
Just kidding.
of
He's not
presents.
the best.
It was
Just
so
kidding.
exciting. You know, we had the tree. We actually had tree and lights and you know, putting balls and tinsel on was a big tradition for us. Like, you know, we were in, good heavens, we're in Taiwan in early 50s, and we still did Christmas the whole way.
Come
I
on.
mean, we spent hours getting the tinsel on the trees exactly right, and I was in charge of stringing the lights evenly all over the place. You
Oh,
know.
you were probably so crazy about that.
Oh, just
Yeah, he would have
his
done
lights,
it exactly
the lights
right.
had to be exactly
I
spaced.
can't. You were probably getting rulers out.
Yeah.
and all
But
kinds
these-
you
these-
can't see my tree. Oh no.
These barrels would come. Barrels would come, and the Christmas presents come in 2 kinds: hard packages and soft packages.
That's true.
And soft packages are, you know, sweaters and shirts. And
Socks.
absolutely not what a
Socks.
10-year-old is looking for.
Exactly. Clothes.
Socks.
I love me some socks.
No, 8-year-old,
Hankies.
10-year-old geeks and nerds like me, they want hard packages.
Come on, Roland.
And hard
Planes.
packages often came with chemistry sets.
Whoa.
Chemistry sets with little bottles of all these different chemicals with test tubes and burners and everything, and all kinds of experiments you could do. You could pour stuff back and forth and cook it and make lots of smoke and fire or whatever you wanted to do.
Gosh, that's so
you
amazing.
go.
And so there's
that's
2 kinds of
epic.
presents. I wanted chemistry sets or model airplanes.
Yes.
And later on, things got electronic, but at first it was, it had
Now
to be,
it's planes,
it had to-
camera
There you
gear.
Yeah.
yeah. So those hard
computers.
packages with chemistry sets. that's-
Cameras.
well, cameras came later, but
Uh-huh.
but also sets of encyclopedias were good. You know,
Wow.
That was a hard package.
So you remember Christmas as a kid like most kids.
oh
really,
yeah,
with the
we
presents
we
and the
stayed
whole
up
thing.
late. We read all the Christmas
Yeah.
stories. We read Santa, but Santa was never any kind of replacement for Jesus. It was just a fun story. You know, it was,
Yeah.
it was not never a problem. But
No one ever had to break it to you. That's good.
No.
That's
And
good.
you
we
were always.
never did Santa.
we
with
stayed
them.
up late till midnight.
Yeah.
Oh, you stayed till
Oh,
midnight.
we stayed up really late, and we had long john fuzzy pajamas. It was cold at winter, and we'd snuggle up in front of the fireplace, you know, with electric blankets and everything. And we had all these cool presents under, a lot of hard packages under the tree.
Did you open
Lot
them
of
in
hard
the
packages.
morning?
And yeah,
You had to wait till the
no,
morning.
no,
to
no,
open
no,
them?
we
opened it at night?
no. That's what makes a kid get up at 5 o'clock. all
You
excited.
did have to wait till the morning.
Yeah.
Yes, no, we don't do any cheating on Christmas Eve.
Come on, I like that.
It keeps the
I'm a
anticipation,
morning man
keeps
myself.
the anticipation going. But we would watch the movies, you know. We would watch Scrooge and all that stuff until very late. And
One of our questions, favorite
except we didn't
Christmas
have
movie.
TV, you know. We'd have to actually show a film, you know, a projector with reels, you know.
That's
remember
how you would watch a
remember
movie.
those projectors?
That's-
Yes. So no
That's the
movie.
olden
Big,
days.
big reels with 16
So you'd have
millimeter.
Scrooge the film on a reel.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You know, you could hear the gears going, you know, the shutter going on the projector, you know, it's 24 frames a second.
That's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
And meanwhile,
And you were always home for Christmas? Because you were at boarding school a lot when you were growing up too, but
Well,
you'd
that was
always
later.
be home for Christmas?
In
Oh,
I
that
was
was
out
later.
of boarding
Taiwan,
school
yeah.
until I was 12.
Right.
But until then, we had these incredible Christmases at home. Well, even in boarding school, I
You'd always be home for Christmas, wouldn't you?
Christmas.
Yeah.
But that was later. We moved down to Taiwan later.
Right.
But those early Christmases in Taipei were cold and wintry, and
Oh my gosh.
and it was really, really, really Christmassy. You know, it was just a huge thing. We read all the stories and stayed up late and watched the movies, and it was
There
really,
you
really
go.
cool.
I love it.
I
meanwhile
remember.
in Laguna,
Well, I
Yeah, what was happening in
remember.
Laguna at this?
she wasn't
Oh.
born yet for the first 10
That's
years.
true. 12 years. I wasn't there. So the first 12.
A little bit later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little bit later, you're in Laguna, where it's
You know,
not
it's
snowing.
not snowy. It's not cold. But even though my family didn't know, really, we're not born again. We still had some great times together, just
course.
hanging out and staying up. But it always was disappointing, because sometimes people, I think a lot of people are just so hyped up about Christmas, and then if they're disappointed, they can kind of spiral down. So I really feel like people need to know the real meaning of Christmas, so they're not spiraling down, and they know that it really is about love, and it really is about Jesus coming to earth. And the times I remember most were when you were little, and we were in Hong Kong again. You were born in Hong Kong, as you know.
I know.
And we really, really had so little money that the only thing we ate was like top ramen, and we lived on the 9th floor of a slum building and
I
climbed
just
up.
got
No
to
elevator.
see that building again.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I just remember.
Were you impressed?
Yeah. I was impressed because I had Zoe, my daughter, and she was climbing the stairs.
All the
and I
9
was
floors.
thinking this was every day climbing these stairs.
That was me. Yep, and I would carry you
Yeah,
up
so,
those 9 flights. And sometimes you would try to climb some of them, but I just remember after we were born again and on the field, and interestingly enough, there we were back in Asia, and it was just remembering how God provided this chicken dinner for us. And so somehow chicken dinner always...
It
We, of
still
course,
is in
we-
Africa. That's the biggest
It's the
thing.
biggest
you get a
deal.
chicken dinner.
It's the only thing.
Yeah, we
It's
just
a
had
dangerous place to be a
chicken.
chicken.
It's a dangerous place to be a chicken. But I'm thinking, wow, God just provided
There's one
chicken.
Unless you're a good egg-laying chicken. then
Yeah,
you might
then
have a chance.
you might have a
Of a little bit of a
chance.
life.
But just watching how God provided that chicken for us. And another time we had a team in Asia, and I remember that time it was Thanksgiving, and I remember making soup out of crushed bones from the chicken and crying just with joy that we had anything to eat at all. And I think some of those memories, that came later in my life, because growing up there was always an abundance of food and desserts and everything at Christmas. But as we gave our lives on the field and there was so little food, there was a passion that rose up in me to just feed the hungry. And so now our Christmas in Mozambique, and we don't always celebrate on the same day. So we've just now had 3 big Christmas celebrations in Mozambique. It's about food for sure.
Yes.
People all come, the poorest of the poor, come and eat this feast of chicken and salad and a little Coke or a Fanta or a Sprite, and feeling the joy of that. And we didn't have funds, to just buy a lot of stuff. So we were all praying. We say, what can we do this Christmas that will just bless the kids, even though it wasn't in the budget to buy presents. And we just put the word out. We asked every one of our national staff and our Mozambican staff, if all of them, and our missionaries, if they could all buy one present for a child. And so it was the coolest thing when the kids opened their presents this year, that either a missionary or a national leader who's also living on the edge financially bought a special gift for each child. And it was just beautiful. Some of my happiest memories are when we haven't had a lot, and
Wow.
and
That's interesting.
sometimes people think, well, we really need that iPhone, or we really need that camera or whatever it is.
Camera.
Yeah. But
Gaming console.
when people just share, I love the sharing that goes around Christmas.
Wow.
I love that God shared his son, that he gave his son for us. I love that when we remember Christmas, and we like to have fun. Like we just had our kids over for Christmas,
Singing
singing,
sleigh songs anyway.
dripping wet.
How many kids?
We only had, oh boy, let's see. We had the huge party with all the kids, but then just before we went to the airport to be with our children, Crystalyn and Elisha, and our grandbaby Zoe, Our other kids, our blonde kids, our African kids came over, the ones we found when they were really little. And we were sitting around the table, and Elisha, who's recording now, is going to laugh at this one. Guess what we had for dinner? Who can guess? Baked potatoes. We did not, we literally didn't have food left in the house. So I took a bag of potatoes, which I had in the fridge, stuffed them in the oven.
Good go-to.
Just knowing that these kids were probably going to show up. And I mercifully had some butter left. We didn't even have cheese. And we just made baked potatoes, and the kids started showing up. They're now grown up, like Crystalyn and Elisha, and now I'm going to cry. But they started showing up, and some of them were bringing their kids. And this was just like day before yesterday. So about 120. We're dripping. We're just all dripping, and we're just laughing, and we're singing, and we've got these baked potatoes on the table. We've set it, even though that's all we're going to have to eat. And then some more family showed up, and they brought burritos. And they were on the edge too, like they didn't have a lot, but they just cleared out their fridge, and they brought over these burritos. And we're sitting around the table, and just like we're doing now, the kids just started to share. And Luis just said, yeah, his brothers were there because they remember it. They said, yeah, we remember. And Luis said, I remember when you found me in the garbage bin, like a big garbage bin. And and they kept telling the story. And Mama, you just said, come on out. It's okay. You're going to be okay. Come on out of the garbage bin. And I pulled him out by his arms. And he came out of the garbage bin. And then there was another one there, that I found on the street. He's such a strong, awesome, anointed man. And he was there with the baked potatoes. And I was remembering when we'd sing happy birthday to Elisha with a candle and the baked potato, because that was all we had. But the joy was being together. And one young man after another, was sharing their story of how we found them on the street and what Christmas was like before and what it was like now. And I thought, it was actually beautiful that that's what we had to eat, because it brought back all those beautiful memories of just how God provides for us every year.
Tell them about our first Christmas at Chiango and our little Christmas tree that first day.
I know some people they're all freaked out about the tree. We don't worship a tree. We don't bow down to a tree. We only worship Jesus. But we just feel like we can decorate like we decorated for all their birthday parties for all our kids.
About the tree.
We like decorations. We like to have fun, So when we were clearly when we were in Chihango, do you remember? But way back then, we were in Chihango with
a little tree with a little bit of tinsel
and
that we found.
It looked a little bit like these, only not quite as fancy as the $1 trees.
A little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger. It was bigger.
And not a Christmas tree.
And these kids, these kids that we found in the garbage and under bridges, and we brought home and we prayed in. I remember just praying in food. God, just give us rice. And Lord, and back then, our huge prayer was that we could have chicken for Christmas.
Wow.
Just like we did in Hong Kong, that we could have chicken for Christmas. And we prayed and we worshiped and we told the kids, let's pray that we can have chicken for Christmas. And it happened again this year. We really prayed in the chicken for Christmas. And we had chicken. We really did. But that year, we were all together and the kids still didn't have shoes or they didn't have flip-flops. But we were in this dingy old building, and we had this little tree, and we found some lights, and we did the Christmas play, just like how we read now. and
cool.
the older youth that could read started to read the Christmas story. And we just borrowed one of the babies we had, and we told the Christmas story in this little Charlie Brown tree. You know, it's just
It was pitiful.
It was pitiful.
It was a pitiful, scrawny little tree with sticks, and we managed to get a few lights on it.
And remember, what did that little guy
And
say?
the little kid said, "Mama, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen."
These tears, blood just falling down his.
Yeah.
It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and we're just telling the Christmas story, and the kids had never ever heard the Christmas story.
Oh my gosh.
And it was the first Christmas they ever had knowing the true Savior of the world. And we didn't have Christmas presents that year, but we did, as far as I remember, but we did have chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a major miracle for us. So
So awesome.
whatever you have or you don't have, just let it be family.
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful for family. That's why we changed the day in Mozambique, so we can be with our kids and our grandbaby, our other kids. I mean,
Yes.
our natural born. That we can be with both our adopted kids and our natural born, and just celebrate this beautiful time of year where we remember that He left everything for us. And it's not about what we have or we don't have, or
Yeah,
how
so
fancy our
noisy.
decorations are, but it is a time to celebrate, and for me, we like to decorate. In Mozambique it's just too hot, but if it's a little cooler, we're gonna go ahead and
And Mozambique's too
Decorate.
hot to what?
it's too hot.
It's
to
never too hard to
really-
decorate.
It's
It's
not-
okay.
It's not
just so hot.
Christmassy for me. Christmas
Okay.
has to have atmosphere.
I have a question about this, though.
Okay, go for it.
Most of the world, very hot climate, yes.
Yes.
Australia,
Yeah.
hot every year.
Oh yeah. Middle
So
of
it's
summer.
clearly still
Midsummer
Christmas when it's not cold.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you don't associate cold with Christmas,
No.
right?
Well, we do.
I feel
in
like we
this-
need more Christmas songs about hot Christmases.
I think
because I
we
think
do.
that's the issue.
We need to sing songs about hot Christmases,
'Cause what was
that's where
Christmas-
we live.
For you go to the beach and stuff.
Yeah. Well, afterwards, but you know we have Christmas at home usually. I mean, some families go to the beach for Christmas, but it is very hot, and you get your toys are like summer toys, like water guns
Yeah.
and
I might
trampolines.
sound
and-
prejudiced, but Christmas is a northern hemisphere. thing.
Yeah, we have exclusive, right?
We're in a
Wow.
hot southern hemisphere most of the time.
Except
so when
we're
we
talking-
come to the States for Christmas, it is a big deal.
Yes.
And for a while, we lived up in Running Springs, 6,000 feet above Los
know,
Angeles.
I used to live up
and
there.
some of our winters are very, very snowy.
I love it.
And do you remember that one Christmas when it snowed Christmas Eve with
Literally,
thick, beautiful
our
flakes?
first Christmas
Where it was cold.
where we had the potential for it to snow. First time it had ever happened. So we were ready for it to snow, and it hadn't
I mean,
snowed.
we had a mountain cabin.
till
and we had-
Christmas Eve. It hadn't snowed till Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
So that night, we all prayed that it would snow, and we literally woke up to
I
snow.
mean, we had a roaring
everywhere.
fireplace.
That was awesome.
We had a huge Christmas tree.
So
It was
snow
all
falling is the
decorated,
most beautiful thing.
and it started to snow heavy. Not just a scattered
Yeah.
snow shower, but big, heavy flakes.
We were praising
and
Jesus,
it piled up on the
dancing
windowsills,
around.
and everything was just perfect. And we were watching Scrooge and everything on TV, and man.
We were blessed.
And the other really great family Christmas was when we were snowed
Snowed
in right
Where?
up by Lake Shasta up on a mountaintop.
Yeah.
Literally snowed in.
Literally snowed.
No
in.
electricity.
No electricity.
Oh my god.
We had to melt snow to take a sponge bath or to make any kind of food. And back then, we kind of had potatoes in the end quite a bit, didn't we?
Pipes were frozen.
No, we had
I
a,
we
think
had
you
no
have potatoes now
electricity.
just because you don't get into the
we
cooking
had a
that much.
barbecue. We had
I think that's why. I don't think it's general necessity anymore. I think
we
it's
had a barbecue in the garage, and
Stick
we
in a
had
potato.
Oh,
steak,
did you?
and we melted snow to cook
Yeah,
with. And
I'm
drink
talking about
Papa Rolland.
after.
Oh,
Yeah, we were running low on the food. People were so
put-
worried about us. We were having a
We put our
blast.
coffee creamer in the snow outside.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we
great.
had fun. We loved it.
and the deer came up in the snow,
ate
Oh my
our
gosh.
leftovers.
I think you do. The Northern Hemisphere does get it. I think.
But I do.
We're being very biased about this.
I know.
Wherever you are, it's great.
No, snow falling is
great.
when I lived in Running Springs too for a little bit in the house when me and Sarah lived with Brock and Christy.
Yeah.
Coming back from Mozambique, that snow falling that day we had that snow. Oh, it's one of the most beautiful things
It's
to
so
sit there and watch snow
beautiful.
fall.
And
It's
each
the most relaxing
each snowflake is unique. Just like God created us unique. And I love that. I love
It's crazy.
how he just shows his glory through everything. But
Segue. What?
I want to tell you about my favorite Christmas ever.
Okay.
Yes. Come
Yes.
on.
Is that okay?
So sorry.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, we really want to hear.
This truly is the most astounding Christmas and my most favorite memory ever. And I believe my next most favorite memory will be the rest of this Christmas. But here it is. It was about 120, super cooking
Degrees Fahrenheit.
hot degrees.
Wow.
And so about 44, something like that, 42, just hot, crazy hot. And we didn't have shade where we were going to give out the presents. And just like this is our
Southern Mozambique?
this is our crazy our crazy family. We've already done it. We're going to have 7,000, 8,000 kids Christmas Day in northern Mozambique. And we already had hundreds of kids and 350 staff. And so we're not talking about a nice little family, tiny little gathering. And we just believe you should invite everybody. So we invited everybody, quite literally. So the drunkards came, and that, before my family knew the Lord, they weren't born again, they were all sloshed. So those are my memories. So as the sloshed drunkards came, I was like, well, yeah, this part I remember.
Yeah.
And so they were so drunk, and I remember the girls that were selling themselves on the street, they came and they didn't have, the proper clothing, and all our kids were already there, and then all the people from the dump were there, and it was just a lot of people. I don't remember how many, it was back before we had a lot more, so it was probably 1,000, 1,200 people. And we were praying, and we were just praying for food to multiply, and then we start thinking, oh no, all year we try to plan to get Christmas presents. This year it didn't happen, but in the last seconds, everybody brought one. But back then we had planned, and we had been wrapping presents for months and months and months, just for our kids to have a present, for the ones from the dump, for these street girls to get an actual present.
Santa's workshop, eat your heart out.
There you go. So we had been preparing and praying, and we had this grass mat out there on the ground. We had a psychologist from Alabama. We had 2 Argentinians. We had her sister, Rabia, one of our adopted daughters there. And we were just ready to give out presents. And we were about to have dinner, but, it's really lunch, but we called it's like a dinner lunch, and we're going to give out chicken. And I said, give all the drunkards the food first, because they start beating up everybody. So
Smart. Come on.
We're starting
As an experienced missionary talking right
I'm
there.
talking about my favorite Christmas, but it did involve blood, because what happened, this super drunk guy started beating the pastors and ripping their shirts, and there's blood all over the floor. And I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing, because the pastor didn't hit back.
Wow.
Both pastors didn't hit back. And I realized that they had come from the streets, and they could have hit back, and they could have really hit hard, but they took the hits. It's like Jesus took the hits for us.
Yep.
These street guys became pastors, and they took the hits, and they helped serve these guys that were just blasted with alcohol, just completely out of their gourds, started serving them the food first. And then we said, well, let's give them the presents first. And then let's give the street girls the presents, because they've never had anything for free. They're having to sell their bodies to get a piece of bread. So what would a present mean where you're not paying for it, where you're not selling yourself for a present? What does that look like? So I remember just passing out these gifts with these people in the hot sun. I remember my eyes stinging with salt. That happened to me 2 days ago. Just salt just stinging my eyes and dripping. I mean, it's so hot and being out in the sun. And then we were going on, and then we got to our kids. And I looked at our little girls, and there was a line of them. And I just said, what do you want? And I think God's, as a loving father, asks us that, like, what do you want? And I remember this psychologist saying, there's stuffed dogs in the bag. Stuffed dogs in the bag.
There's only stuffed dogs in the bag.
Yeah.
That's all we got.
Stuffed dogs in the bag. And she had this accent. I didn't understand her. And she said, it's only stuffed animals, but I couldn't understand her. Stuffed second or third hand animals in the bag. And I looked at these little girls and I said, what do you want? And you remember what they said?
Beads?
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't know if I was going to get that right. Okay.
Well, it's so powerful. It's only happened once in my whole life. I've never seen anything like this, one time. But it is my favorite memory. And the girls said they wanted beads. And I said to the psychiatrist, they want beads. She said, I told you there were stuffed dogs in the bag. Stuffed dog animals. And I said, well, the girls want beads. This is no joke. This is no fairy tale. This is no Santa story. Seriously, she put her hand into these black garbage bags. Meantime, I'm just looking at these girls, like I would look at Crystalyn. I want to bless her with whatever she wants if I can, because I love her. I love you so much.
Absolutely.
So they're like, we want beads, and they didn't want third-hand, second-hand stuffed dogs. So they wanted beads. And she reaches her hand in a black garbage bag, and she starts screaming at the top of her lungs. There's beads in the bag. There's beads in the bag. There's beads in the bag. She's screaming. I'm like, so I start crying. The Argentinians start leaping up and down. My Mozambican daughter's she's lost it. We are just undone. And we start handing these little girls that had lost their mom and lost their dad, and some of them been thrown out in the garbage. We started handing them beads. And seriously, whatever else you believe, this is absolutely true. God multiplied toys for us. He multiplied these beads, and he didn't even
changed them.
He didn't even make them diamonds. He didn't make them jewels.
It wasn't water to wine. It was dogs to beads.
What happened to the stuffed dogs?
We still had them. They all were left in the bag, but each little girl got some beads. They weren't fancy beads. I'm sure God could make any kind of bead he wanted, but they were little plastic beads that weren't in there before. And then there were little boards, like games that the boys wanted to play. And they had counted exactly how many that they had wrapped. They knew exactly how many. And by the end of giving each child, each young boy, a board game, which is what they wanted, every single one of them had gotten it. And after that, we were just undone. We were like jumping and laughing, and we were undone, and we just fell on our knees and just worshiped the one who is the one. And I went back to this memory of being in university, doing my PhD, and a theologian just stroking his beard like that. And he looked at me and said, God's not Santa Claus. God's not a Santa Claus. And he was just really wanting it to be clear that God,
cheery,
and he said, some people pay for parking spots. God's not Santa Claus. And he was just so intense. And I'm like, no.
That's intense.
And that day, when God literally blessed our baby girls, our sweet little girls with beads, I remembered, and I thought, no, He's better. He's the God of the universe,
Amen.
and he can create anything. So the God of the universe who loves you, he's just here for you, and we just
Come
say
on.
he's better than anything, and we just want
Amen.
to
I
pray
just
for
want to
you.
sing,
Yes.
I think.
We're
That's what I
gonna
think.
Sing,
Yes,
a,
we wish-
sing a blessing.
You a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And we bless you. We
Yes.
bless you to feel the true meaning of Christmas, the
Yes.
joy, the
Come
gift.
on. Whoa.
We bless you to have provision, to be filled with your joy of being together as a family, to just know the love of Jesus, who left the streets of gold and came
Yeah.
down here to love us into his kingdom. He came down here to show us what love looks like. We thank you. And today we just celebrate the greatest gift there ever was,
Absolutely.
that Jesus came to the earth to make us whole. We love you, Jesus. Be
Yes,
blessed, families. Be blessed.
Yes. Oh, that was amazing. Have
Yay.
fun with your
you.
families. And we just pray for those, if you don't have a family, that there will be people gathered around you and you will find family this Christmas to celebrate with. And just enjoy
Thank
this
you.
special, special time.
And
Yes.
invite someone. If you're lonely, invite
Yeah.
someone to your
And
house.
get baked potatoes in the oven.
You can do it.
Okay.
And make
Or
fudge.
top ramen.
Make fudge.
But be careful. Bring Papa Roll and find out how to make the fudge. It's very
Enjoy.
delicate.
And
Invite.
read the
Baked
Christmas
potatoes.
story.
Make
Come
fudge.
on.
Read the Christmas story.
Laugh.
Subscribe
Watch Scrooge.
to the Iris.
Yeah, download the Iris
Global
Global app. It's free.
channel.
There's your Christmas present from Iris.
Yeah.
Get on your smartphone.
But don't
iPhone,
burn the house
download-
down with your chemistry set.
No, don't do that.
Oh,
Don't
yes.
do that.
Yeah.
But if you
All
want your
right.
kid to be a pilot, buy him an aircraft carrier and use the
I
little
think we're
rocket
giving-
launcher.
Whether you're hot or cold, it's all about the gift
Yes,
of
North or
Jesus.
Southern.
It's
Exactly.
better if it's
And
cold,
you-
but otherwise,
It's
Just
best
all
for the
about.
rejoice.
It's
Just
best. It is best
rejoice.
for snow. We have concurred on that.
Yeah.
Mozambique's going to be dripping
What it's really
hot.
about, it's
dripping
not
hot.
about the Christmas presents with a T. It's about the Christmas presents with a C.
Ah,
Wow, that was
let the
good.
presents.
That's good.
Whoa!
Come on.
That
It's
was
true.
good.
More Christmas
if, his,
presents.
if his glory shows up, you're good.
Okay, bye.
Exactly. Love you. See you next year.
Ciao.
We love you guys. This podcast is presented by Iris Global. For more information or to support the work of Iris Global, please visit us online at irisglobal.org.